And I'm here with Scott Valley from Hyper Focus Games, and we're going to be talking to you about Ultra Pro Wrestling. Some of you I know already know about this, but a lot of you might not. So, Sam, what can you tell us about Ultra Pro Wrestling? If you've never heard anything about it before, what's your elevator pitch for this thing?
It sounds familiar. People have heard this before, but this is an AKI-inspired wrestling game. Yeah, there's obviously been a lot of people, a lot of companies that have aspired to that in the past. More recently, obviously, there's the AEW game that came out. We've been working on this for uh, pretty much 10 years. So this has been a long time in development. And yeah, the AKI engine is the main inspiration. We almost want to have a sort of, I don't want to say clone. That's not really the right word, but we basically want to try and replicate as much as possible about that engine as we can, so that we then have a sort of starting off point from which we can take it in other directions. But yeah, so the goal is to make it very, very similar to those games. That's why I have the N64.
Yeah, I noticed
Revenge.
that. I noticed that. And yeah. Speaking of AEW Fight Forever, I think we have heard about that around here a little bit. So a lot of people were disappointed with AEW Fight Forever because while it is, the Aki engine, it is the true successor to that whole thing. It missed so many of the features that made that people were looking forward to, like a true sequel would have. The number one thing we're missing is like game modes. Are you guys going to bring the game modes with this?
Yeah, because we are a small company and because this is our first game.
Mm.
Obviously, the Fight Forever was AEW's first game, but they had a lot of money to put into that. Initially, we will probably have, in the first release of the game, we will probably have kind of basic match types.
Okay.
But the plan is to, over the course of, when we sell the game, we bring more money in, we can develop more things for it. And another aspect of that as well is this isn't a game where we're going to release like a new version of the game every year like the 2K series does. This is one game and we just will continually add to it. So eventually we'll get, ladder matches, table matches,
Nice.
barbed wire ropes, all that stuff. But on the first release, because this is our first go at it, it's probably going to be limited to basic matches. And by that, I mean, we'll have tag teams, we'll have triple threats, all that stuff. But
Okay.
anything involving an object like a ladder or a
Sure.
table,
Sure.
that might have to come later. Guest referee, stuff like that.
Literally, you've already said a few things that AW Fight Forever doesn't have. Like, we don't have like trios matches. I think like it's capped off. Like, I think one thing I saw was impressive is like on launch, you guys are planning on having up to 10 wrestlers in the ring at a time. Is that correct?
That's what we've been testing.
It's crazy.
Right now, we can get around 10 without any significant frame drop.
Nice.
Uh, there might be other things to look at when we start optimizing the fans a bit better.
Sure.
Actually, we think there's a way of optimizing the way the wrestlers load in the game as well. So yeah, I think 10 is probably a pretty safe number. I think we're going to be able to hit that. We haven't confirmed
Sure.
100% because just in case. But yeah, I mean, if you want to have a Royal Rumble type match, you've got to have like those 10 guys in the
More
ring at one
more
time.
than four.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's what we're dealing with over here. Like, yeah, people are really looking for AEW Fight Forever. Just did not scratch the itch for so many people on this channel, and that's why I'm so glad to have you on, because I think that this is really a lot of what people have asked for, even with a smaller team, a more independent game. I mean, you guys had a very successful Kickstarter. Did you hit like almost all of your stretch goals, or a good deal of them at least? I saw a lot of
Pretty
stuff
much
was
all.
unlocked. Yeah.
Just the last one, which the last one was for the story mode.
Okay.
That one. But we're doing that anyway. We're gonna
Great.
we're gonna do what we can to get the story mode in there anyway.
Excellent.
And even if it's something that it isn't available at launch, again, it'll be available as a future DLC. Also, just one note on that, because someone someone made a video a few days ago where they sort of misunderstood that when we were talking about all the DLC stuff that will come later,
Yeah.
the only DLC stuff that we're charging for is the sort of free agent DLC wrestlers that we have in the game.
Okay.
Anything else that's like an update, match types, call items, anything else that's not the free agent DLC, all the other DLC will be free. So
Wow.
it's a one-time purchase for the game, and then all the updates that we add to it later on will always be free.
Wow. Okay, that's really cool. I mean, there you got AEW Fight Forever beat as well. They're literally charging us for like arenas and stuff, and it just doesn't feel right. So I really like the spirit going behind this about the continued support. And let's not bury the lead when we talk about these free agents. You guys have a large roster of original characters. Like if you go to their website, I encourage you to check it out. All the links are going to be down below. Like check out these original characters. It goes on like literally forever. There's like 100 of them or more. And they're all amazing. They're awesome.
The base game characters, we have about 100.
Yeah. It's crazy.
The free agent DLCs, I think we're at about 30, something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, we do have more to come.
When we're talking about free agents, throw some names at me, because this is what, if people don't know about this game, they're going to start getting excited when you throw these names out.
So we have Jake the Snake.
I'm excited. Instantly excited. I mean, people ask me all the time, who's your favorite wrestler? And I just go with Jake the Snake, like if it's of all time, because that's what I grew up on. That was like my first, like when I saw Jake the Snake on TV, I was like, okay, yeah, wrestling's cool. I'm into it. So you got Jake the Snake.
Me as well. I'm not just this game developer. Like I was a fan pretty much my whole life. I was a fan since I was 5. So, I had the Hasbro figures of Jake the Snake,
absolutely,
and Demolition, who are also in the game.
Awesome.
So it's crazy seeing these people that we had as action figures actually in the game. And of course we have Brian Clark as well with his he's got his Wrath outfit, but he also had his Adam Bomb one.
Nice.
That's awesome. I can't wait.
I saw Arn Anderson. I saw Canyon as well as his alter ego.
Yeah, we got Mortis. I mean, we actually these old games, the Revenge, No Mercy, WrestleMania 2000, and basically we decided anyone that was in those games will have an automatic approval. We'll seek them out and try and get them in the game.
That's cool.
So Buff Bagwell's in there. He was in Revenge.
Buff Bagwell, excellent.
God, who else? Blue Meanie and Al Snow from WrestleMania 2000.
Awesome.
I don't think Blue Meanie was in No Mercy, but he was in WrestleMania 2000.
He's always in our hearts.
And he's always in our hearts.
No, I mean, the roster's really incredible. I encourage you to check that out as well. Like there's so many names. Like we got like 30 now. So there's a lot of wrestlers. I'm sure I put them on the thumbnail because that's going to attract people. And the cool thing about that is that not only you're putting them in the game, and you're going to be charging for this content, but the money is going to go to the wrestlers to help support them and their estates, which is incredible. That's a really cool concept.
I mean, usually the way this is done is wrestlers will get a tiny percentage of the base game, like 0.14% or something, which that sounds small, but they obviously stand to make quite a bit from being in a game. Companies would usually pay them an upfront fee as well of something like maybe half of what they expect them to make from the game. But we're obviously not in a position to do that, being so small. So we sort of came up with this idea that, well, if we do it as a DLC package, and we don't really know what these DLCs are going to sell, so we'll just go in with them and we'll split it 50-50. So, if they do well, then they do well, and that benefits us. If they don't do well, then it's not like they're making money and it's not like we're making money and they're not. We're making whatever they're making. So that was the best way to do it, and we've approached all these people, and they all went, yeah, sounds good. So that's the way that we've done it. And so whenever you purchase one of these characters, that money is literally going to them or their estates.
Yeah, I like the spirit of that. I like the spirit of the game in general. I know you have like a bunch of different, you have the ability to run different promotions inside, which must be like a first for a wrestling game, at least of like this generation. I don't know if it happened previously, but like, so explain that to me. Like you can have a, Lucha Libre organization. You can have like an American organization. You can have a Japanese organization. and then you can have them like battle for supremacy. Like, tell me, like, explain that whole concept to me. It was really cool, like reading about that.
Yeah, I mean the promotions aren't necessarily competing with each other.
Sure.
Um, they I guess exist in the same way that they do in the real world.
Yeah.
They obviously, if they're not getting enough wrestlers that are popular and they're not drawing enough, then they might start to decline. If they are putting on good matches and they've got the good wrestlers working for them, they might start to grow, and you'll see the arenas that their shows exist in will
That's
be
so
bigger
cool.
and all that stuff. Yeah, so
It's
I
something that
guess
we haven't really seen because normally you got the big
yeah,
guys and it's all about their promotion and no other promotions are ever acknowledged because why would they be? And, AEW's floating the bill, WWE's floating the bill. But here we don't have any legitimate, like big organizations represented, but you have these stand ins. So you can basically represent the actual wrestling world
yeah,
inside of, Ultra Pro Wrestling, which is very interesting.
yeah, and the AKI games, specifically Revenge. Anyway, they actually did that. The WWF games more separated the roster out by factions,
Sure.
but Revenge actually had a few fictional
Okay.
promotions. They had
I
what
think I
was it?
remember that now. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
So kind of bringing
independent.
back that concept, but expanding
Yeah.
on it.
The, I remember WCW World Tour. You could go to, there was a promotion, Independent Union,
Nice.
and if you played a match in that promotion, the floor was different. It was hardwood floors,
Yeah,
and it felt really, I don't know, just so different.
yeah,
Like you're
yeah.
you're almost in this indie promotion within the WCW game, and it was awesome. So yeah, it's sort of going back to that, but then trying to expand on it as well. Obviously, those AKI games were very heavy on the customization. You could take the character and edit their name, edit the way they look, change so much stuff about them. If you create a character, you could, assign friendships and tag partners and rivals and things like that.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
we wanted to take that concept of quite a lot of freedom with the characters and apply that to the promotions as well. So, you can edit the promotions, you can change the names of them,
Nice.
you could change what their events, like you might have special events, you might have like Royal Rumble type events that you might assign to certain promotions. So it's that same sort of idea, just opening the door for customization with the promotions as well.
Yeah, talk to me about the customization, especially like this advanced create a wrestler mode. Like, how deep is this thing? Because that's another big disappointment people had with AEW Fight Forever. Is like the create a wrestler. It was pretty much universally panned. Um,
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What are you guys cooking for that?
Um, well, because we have been working on this so long, that was one of the first things that was an area that we paid attention to, because I knew that if we started building out characters
Mm-hmm.
and then trying to sort of reverse engineer, like go back and make it so that these characters could be editable with the cost system, that was going to be a nightmare to have to double back on ourselves. So I guess it's like with the AEW game, when you see the Kenny Omega model, that's a model by itself. It probably has a completely different mesh from the other characters, from like the Daniel Bryan character. You probably can, or
Yeah, yeah.
did I say his name? Did I say his WWE name there?
It doesn't.
Um,
Everybody knows what you're talking about.
uh,
Brian Daniel Bryan. Yeah, it's all the same.
yeah, American Dragon. We'll go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, that's fine.
So yeah, the mesh is probably completely different and just
Yeah,
not
yeah,
sort of interchangeable. So
yeah.
there's lots of things like that where they didn't really, maybe didn't think about it like that from the onset. Whereas because
Create a
we
wrestler
did,
mode kind of came second, but for you guys, create a wrestler mode came first, and
yeah,
therefore you're
yeah,
going to have more options. Is the idea?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Cool.
again, reverting back to the AKI games, every wrestler in those games, you could go in, you could change their
Yeah. Yeah.
hairstyle,
You
their
really could. Yeah.
obviously back then it was a little bit easier because on the N64 they were just a lot more lower quality
All the
models.
models were the same anyways, so
Yeah,
it was all
so
transferable.
if you change like a T-shirt, a lot of times it was just a texture swap, so
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
easy enough. Um, but because we've had uh, that intention since the beginning,
Okay.
everything done with the character models is with that in mind. So every character that we have, that we've shown, that we intend to make, all their attire parts can all be used
Oh,
within the.
nice.
You can edit them, you can change their names, you can change their friendships, all their stats and everything, their
Cool.
moves as
Cool.
well.
So you have this gigantic base roster that is not just a gigantic base roster of really cool, interesting character designs, which I'm probably showing on the screen right now. But you can also go through and you can customize them all. So if you're like, this one's cool, but maybe I'd like them more in a different color, you can do that. You can change their gimmick. You'd be like, this one's cool, but this name, I don't quite gel with that. You can change the name. You can change gimmicks. You got the
Yeah,
freedom to do whatever you want with this.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's really, really cool. I think that's a huge selling point for people. Where are you at in the development cycle right now? How soon before this thing comes out? I know you guys had the successful Kickstarter. You got a Patreon, so you can still support the game if you want to. I know you can go to Steam. You can wish list it. What's the roadmap looking like right now?
The game plan is to have a version of the game that we can release by the end of next year.
Nice.
More stuff that we add and the more we improve things, um, a lot of times unintentionally adds more time on. For example, we have a menu system that we're working on just now.
Okay.
The old menu system was fine, but if you wanted to change like the graphic on a button, you'd have to go throughout every version of that button on the menu system and swap them out. It wasn't really a universal menu system. So we currently in the process of integrating this new menu system, which is adding a little bit of time on, but it makes it actually so much easier for us whenever we want to update stuff.
Nice.
There was also a situation with the animation system that we used in the very earliest footage that we showed. You could see that the animations weren't really blending properly. Like if a guy was to do like a grapple, he'd automatically snap from a standing position to where he is on the on the start frame of the grapple position, and it just looked very clunky. Using that old animation system, I just wasn't able to get around that blending issue. So we had to kind of overhaul the animation system, which we've done. That's all working now. It's been overhauled, but again, added a little bit more time on. But now at least the animations blend and everything looks a bit smoother. So yeah, the goal is the end of next year. But
Okay.
if there is any delays, just know that it's because we've came up with a way to improve it. It's not due to laziness or anything like that. So in terms of something playable, though, we have a sort of goal in mind. I'm not sure if we'll be able to hit it, but we want to basically have a playable demo right around WrestleMania time,
Okay.
because
Cool.
there's a bunch of conventions that will be on,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we'd love to have a copy of the game at these conventions, and actually let people play it and stuff. So that's another goal that we've got coming up more soon. But yeah, I guess we'll see. We're a small team, so it's yeah, it can be a bit hit and miss when you're trying to predict the timing of these things.
I might have to come meet up with you guys. That's in my neck of the woods if you're going to be around over here on the East Coast. I'd definitely like to get my hands on a playable demo of this and show it to everybody on the channel for sure.
Awesome. Well, obviously, with me not being in America, chances are it'll probably be someone like Hal Haney who might be at
Yeah,
that booth with the playable demo and stuff. So
that's awesome. All right. I don't want to keep you for too long, but tell me a little bit more about what else is going on with this game. I know there's a create a pay-per-view system that you have. I mean, that's like another thing that people wanted with AEW Fight Forever but didn't get. Tell me about that. What's going on with the create a pay-per-view?
yeah, so everything's kind of linked within the other system. So you've got the create a promotion, which is the
Yeah,
promotion
we're talking
name,
about that. Yeah.
where it's based, all that kind of stuff. So create a pay-per-view is basically a sort of sub-creation system of the create a promotion. So once you have a promotion, then you can create pay-per-views
Nice.
for it. We're using the term pay-per-view, but really it's just used for anything that's like a weekly show. Anytime you're creating a show for that promotion,
Okay,
so you can
cool.
create a weekly show that reoccurs on a specific day, or you
Wow.
can create a one-off pay-per-view that occurs on a particular month. So within that you can select. You can basically edit just about everything about the presentation of the arena with the stage, and all that stuff. Even in the showcase, we actually purposely had the ramp, or the aisle, I should say, going off to the side, to try and show that that's an option within the create a pay-per-view. You can decide where you want the the stage to be, whether it's
Nice.
center, whether it's off to the side.
Oh, that's cool.
And
You can customize that. Yeah. It sounds like you can customize like literally everything about this game. Is there anything you can't customize about this experience for yourself?
um, the fans might be a little bit difficult to customize.
Okay.
If
The crowd looks great, by the way, though. Like when I looked at the footage, one of the first things I noticed was this crowd actually looks really good. It's more populated than the AEW Fight Forever crowd. It makes other games with bigger budgets look like they have small crowds. So I thought that was kind of impressive.
I think we looked at like the 2K games, and
Yeah.
when we saw they actually the 2K games do their crowds pretty good, but their each crowd member does look quite detailed, quite high
Yeah.
poly. So we wanted to kind of lower the quality of the models a little bit so we could have more of them,
Yeah, it's cool.
and that gives that effect that there's a lot more going on.
Yeah, if you
We're
look
actually
closely at them, you can tell they're lower poly or whatever. But it's
yeah
a nice effect when you first look at it. You're like, man, this arena is populated. This looks like a show. You know, it looks really good. I like the way
yeah.
the arenas look. That was
If,
interesting for me.
if the majority of the time you see them, it's from far away.
Yeah,
Those lower textures, it doesn't really matter too much because you're
no,
not really up close to them anyway. Sometimes it is noticeable when when you like do entrances and it pans the
right.
crowd, and then you see them really close up. There's a few people that have comment, oh, there's a rat lady, and it's
Yeah.
one of the girls, and then the crowd just looks like a rat. Um,
It's
so
charming, is what it is.
yeah. So, but we are actually going to go through a bit of a texture change with the fans.
Okay, cool.
So it's still an early development part. One cool thing actually that we haven't really mentioned yet is we're going to use the same fan because the fans just sort of spawn these characters, but we can actually through the code determine what items they use to spawn with.
Nice.
So we're thinking actually playing around with the idea of having like security guards in the crowd, possibly even cameramen around the ring using that same system. We're going to test out and see how it works and everything, but we were thinking like that's not really something that we've seen video games do, and obviously we want to have that Japanese arena. So you want all the guys around the ring with the cameras
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So yeah, we want to play around with all that, those ideas, and we think we can use the current fan system that we have to maybe do it. So yeah, so look out for that in the future.
That's really cool. Yeah, tell me more about the continued support after launch. So as I understand, on launch, you're looking to replicate like 80s wrestling, right? And then what can we
Yeah.
expect as time goes on?
So we basically want a full career mode that takes you up to present day.
Crazy.
But the reason that we want to start in the 80s is because then we don't have to have certain match types, which will take longer to develop. Like,
Yeah.
we don't have to have a Hell in a Cell in the 80s.
Sure.
So we're kind of getting away with limiting the amount of match types that we have with the 80s story mode. And then when the 90s story mode comes around, it won't just be an updated version of the story mode with more angles. It'll be more match types,
Okay, cool.
more attire items, possibly other promotions as well. So yeah, that's the best way for us to sort of separate, because otherwise we'd be waiting years for like the full version of the game with all the different promotions and everything. It would take way too long. Whereas if we just launch it with the 80s promotion or storyline, that buys us a little bit of time to get all the other stuff done.
And so that would come at the end of 2024, right? And so every year, could we expect like another decade? Like the year after would be 90s and then double O's and tens?
Yeah, I think we probably would try and package
Wow.
like when we like let's say we get like the I don't know ladder match mechanics all done. We might it'd be very tempting just to include it, just to update the game with the ladder match. But then if we tie it into the 90s story mode with other promotions and with all the other content, and we package it together, it's going to be free regardless, but
Wow.
it might just be a bit more fun, a bit more of a splash if we do it that way. So
Yeah, kind of as a package.
and then the 2000s 2010s, all that stuff as well will come eventually.
All right, that's really cool. I mean, that's a big roadmap when you talk about what's going on. I also like the amount of transparency you have. If you go to the website, if you have any more questions about this game, it's pretty much all answered there. You have an FAQ section that literally goes on for like 2 days,
Yeah.
which is amazing. I believe you guys are doing YouTube, or you're doing YouTube live every Sunday with doing like questions and answers.
Yeah, we kind of cut down on
Okay.
that because of the sheer amount of time it was
Yeah,
taken
yeah.
out. Not just that that podcast, but just there was so much going on with the sort of running the company side of things, that I noticed that the amount of time that I was able to dedicate to actually programming and developing started to slow down a little bit. So I sort of said, okay, I need to kind of more focus on the programming. I need to cut all these other things out. But yeah, no, the FAQ on the website, I'll just say shout out to, we have a guy in our Discord, Mike, who he basically went through every interview that I've ever done. Nice. And just any question, wrote it down, gave what the answer was, and just we gave him the keys to the website, and he just wrote it all in there. So that was quite an undertaking, and so well done to him.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, that's really, really cool transparency and communication you got there. So, and thank you for coming and taking the time with us and telling us about this game. I know I'm super excited about it. Which consoles is this thing going to drop on when it comes out?
The plan is everything.
Everything.
Yeah, we even want it to be on
Game Boy Advance. Steam Deck's great. Actually, seeing Steam Deck support be really cool. I know that's kind of been a letdown for AEW Fight Forever. The Steam Deck experience has been really poor. I thought it plays great on it, but the support for it has been non-existent. So that'd be cool to see it really utilized well on the Steam Deck. It's a cool console.
Yeah, I mean, we've not had time to test on Steam Deck, but we know there is a lot of people that want it on there. So cool. We're going to do our best to get it on there.
Awesome. But everything else, all the modern consoles, it's on PC. It's going to be on Switch?
Yeah, Switch, okay, cool. PlayStation, Xbox.
Awesome.
We just want it everywhere. So yeah.
So there you go. Now here's the other big question. It's going to be on all the consoles. Are you going to do cross-play? I know that was a huge letdown with AEW Fight Forever when they didn't do it. Some say that's the reason why the game died. I know it cost a lot of money to implement. Is that true? Can you get it? Like, what's that look like for you guys?
Well, that's the thing. It's always been our plan to have cross-play, as well as community creations. Nice. We recently, I think, probably read the same thing you did, where there was some sort of talk about how expensive it is to do that.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to look into it, but that's definitely something that we want to do. Nice. And so yeah, so even if it means like cutting out a bunch of the profit to do that, then we'll do it, because this game is so heavy on the creation aspect of it, and so we can't. We definitely want the community creations. And to be able to share those across platform, and of course we have plans for an online mode, and we want that to be cross platform as well. So yeah, that's the goal.
That's awesome. I think that'd be incredible. I'll definitely keep my eye on any news for that. Let me know how that develops. I know that's going to be a big question for everybody, because the concern is with perhaps a smaller game with less marketing. If there's not cross-play, how many people are there actually going to be to play with on any given console? But if it's cross-play, you can kind of bet that there'll be somebody playing on some kind of console, no matter what time you're logging in at, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, awesome. Well, once again, I would encourage everybody to go check out this game. Check out the links down below. Go to their website. Check out the roster of characters. Know that you can take any of those pieces and customize them however you want. You can create your own wrestlers. Check out the free agents, some of the incredible wrestling legends that they have, like Jake the Snake and Demolition and Arn Anderson. I mean, the list goes on. I thought it was really cool to go through there. It was like taking a trip through like wrestling history, looking at all that. Know that all the money from that stuff is going to go to support the wrestlers and their families. Now, is there any room on your roster for like a Mr. Hartgrave kind of character or manager or
maybe like a backstage interviewer kind of role?
Easter egg, yeah, backstage interviewer. I kind of see myself like an RJ City type, perhaps.
I'll definitely leave the door open.
All right, sounds good. And I will look to sneak my way into that door. Maybe we'll come ambush you guys at a convention or something, or maybe at least get a playable demo so we can show everybody on this channel. Thank you for coming around, Sam. Let me know down in the comments below how excited you guys are about this. At the end of the video, we usually say, grave diggers, keep digging. You want to do that with me?
Grave diggers, keep digging.
All right.
Alright, like, subscribe, and watch another video, or be cursed. And if you're cursed, that means the grave diggers will keep digging your graves. So, you probably want you to.
I fall down on my knees in praise of the horrible things that took her away.